How's it going, guys? Welcome to Two Left Thumbs. My name is Graeme, and this is Flashlight, where I look at the history of Flash series here on the internet. You're presented with the plain gray landscape, simple, non-distinct flavor text of somewhere in Nevada. In this long-standing Flash animation series, it never takes long for things to ramp up significantly. The series isn't for the weak of heart, because it's about as violent as Flash animations come. But if you spend any time on the internet in the early 2000s, you're pretty much guaranteed to have seen at least one installment of Madness Combat. Madness was created by Matt Jolly, aka Krinkels, when he was still in his college years. Matt made 3 installments of the series Breadman that didn't really go anywhere. It was just kind of him finding his legs. And he eventually made Marshmallow Madness, which was the first introduction of this standard grayscale character that we've come to know and love. But it was just more absurdist humor with a splash of violence. It wasn't the focus of the series yet. It's far from perfected, but aside from the character design, we can start to see the beginnings of the trademark animation style. What followed was our first glimpse of Madness Combat, the runaway viral hit. Viral to the extent things could be when they were basically shared around on Newgrounds, Albino Black Sheep, and a few other dark corners of the internet. But ever since that humble beginning, there's now been 13 canon episodes with just as many adjacent stories, self-parodying shorts, and official games all made by Krinkels himself. It doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of the hundreds of games, animations, and countless fan art that have been directly inspired by this series. At its core, the series is very simple. You have a monochromatic setting brought to life by painstaking frame-by-frame animations that usually work out to thousands of individual frames, and the consistent use of the hard-hitting techno stylings of Sean Hodges, aka Cheshire, guiding our protagonist through a linear cavalcade of obstacles that must be dispatched by any means necessary. And those means usually also happen to be the most violent ways possible. Yet for a series that wastes no time on plot development or exposition, it has managed to amass an array of its own rich characters, storytelling language, and details stitched in for the die-hard fans. I mean, they probably didn't die as hard as this guy did. We went from that template of nothing characters to following our main protagonist, Hank J. Wimbledon. He kills a lot of generic grunts, but he eventually starts fighting agents in a task force specifically meant for killing him. There's been major story arcs and rivals throughout the series, including the Sheriff, Tricky the Clown, most recently the Auditor, and throughout pretty well all of it, Jesus. Sometimes also referred to Jeebus in case you want to be, slightly less blasphemous. To keep things interesting, we were eventually introduced to Sanford and Demos, who had their own .5 installments that run parallel to the main series. And I mean, if all this mayhem killing things with swords, baseball bats, kitchen sinks, literally every gun you can possibly imagine, as well as many fictional weapons and guns, if that somehow wasn't enough, the storyline's kept fresh with the addition of the improbability drive, which can make anything happen, the resurrection of zombies, multiple characters dying and reviving in new mysterious ways, growing weird appendages and becoming weird godlike spirits. As the series progressed, the title of Madness has been further and further embraced. It's truly astounding the way the series has managed to stand the test of time. If I told you that a series of animations featuring a 2D character walking primarily left to right across the screen, killing things along the way, was going to last 16 years, you might be a little surprised. But I think we're all long past being surprised by the staying power of certain things here on the internet. One amazing thing is that because of the simplicity of the concept, it's never really gotten stale. And because of the limitless bounds that Krinkels has set up for himself, he can do whatever the hell he wants with the series at any time. The way audiences jump and high-five each other over an awesome kill in a sweet movie like John Wick is the same thing that fans have been experiencing for 16 years with Madness. You can watch any episode in any order if you want, you can still get that satisfaction of those crazy kills, but if you really want to commit, there is a real story threaded throughout all this. Krinkels has created this perfect workflow that he can make these at a rate that you wouldn't expect and still keep the quality absurdly high. In fact, not only did these not take a dip in quality, they just continue to get better and better as he refines his craft. It's pretty unbelievable. This doesn't even include the 9 installments of the Incident series, which serve as non-canon sandbox stories for Krinkels to play around in. Now, in a series already centered around excessive violence, these shorts tend to include some of the most ridiculous and usually most comedic kills. For years now, Krinkels has been working on Madness Combat 11. The last known update I saw said it was currently over 6 minutes long. It's uncertain how long it'll be in the end, but on a regular basis he's taken breaks from those to produce shorts outside of the main story. I think this just keeps it fresh for him and us, and that's really important if you're going to commit to a series for 16 years. Now, if you look at the core series as well as the Incident series, you're looking at an hour of content. But if somehow 60 minutes of official Madness animations doesn't quite satisfy your bloodlust, you can dive deep into the world of fan-made content. And when I say deep, I mean this is like Mariana's Trench deep. It almost warrants an episode of its own. A series doesn't run since 2002 and start receiving its own dedicated day on Newgrounds, September 22nd by the way, which has been running since 2007 without picking up a fair bit of fan-made content. There's a multitude of animators out there who strictly make Madness-style content. Some of your favorite animators possibly even started by making Madness-style stuff and springboarded that into their own style. Do you remember back in the day the crazy awesome stick fight collaborations where everyone had their own character that would fight through a bunch of mindless grunts? That's the same thing that happens with these Madness animations. New Madness collaborations still come out semi-regularly, and while there's plenty of traditional Madness-style animations to digest, there's also those who have deviated from the norm. They've either adapted that frame-by-frame style of animation with their own unique characters, or on the opposite side, adapting the character designs and fitting it within their own style. And these aren't just people picking up Flash for the first time. There's heavy hitters like Mind Chamber out there making animations, which I think to this day is probably still the greatest Madness animation ever made. Hell, this series is so pervasive that the original designs, the characters in Riddle School, are based on the fact that it was originally going to be a Madness game. That's why it says Mathness on the school chalkboard. And that's why the music seems so out of place. It came from the Madness series. Hell, I myself have even made a Madness fan animation, as well as a fan game. One that I honestly wish made it further into development. I think it was shaping up quite nicely, but we were only able to put together a demo. I personally will watch any new Madness content for a short escape. The nostalgia and joy it brings to know that a Flash series has been running for 16 years is too much to pass up. But my main consumption of the series has always come from putting hundreds of hours into Madness games. If you've never seen a second of the series in your entire life, you've probably still played Madness Interactive. To this day, throwing knives into the heads of dudes in that game might be the most fun I've ever had in a Flash game. It just literally never gets old. Now, the game has a story that's a full recreation of Madness Combat 2, but it also includes the experiment mode, which lets you play around in a sandbox of everything the game has to offer. This is where all those hours were spent. It's crazy how much time can be spent on a game that's completely free and about 15 years old. Krinkels contributed to other Madness games, but the successor to the smash hit Madness Interactive came out in 2012, Madness Project Nexus. This is also the first pairing of the killer combination, the Swain and Krinkels. This game boasts an absolutely insane amount of content and is one of a few prime examples of what a Flash game can truly look like when the program is pushed to its maximum capabilities. It was pretty clear that Krinkels and Swain together were a dream team, and they quickly followed up the successful game with a Kickstarter that is easily funded. Project Nexus 2 is the first official Madness project to move away from Flash in a 2D environment. Now, I've put a lot of hours into this beta as a backer, and it is a really unique experience. They've been developing this for 5 years now, and I can tell you it's definitely paid off. This is the penultimate Madness experience. I think Madness fans will get a little extra out of it, but I honestly think it's polished enough that it would be fun for anyone. Now, for Krinkels, I feel that the series has endured because he's used it as a way to fully push his capabilities as a creator. He always keeps things fresh and always looks for an excuse for an added challenge. But I believe the staying power for the audience as a whole is in the series' simplicity of design and presentation. There's no real setup, there's nothing to think about, there's nothing to read up on ahead of time, you can just turn it on and enjoy. it's also a level of no holds barred action that could only ever work with online content. There's never going to be a TV show this excessive, silly, and gratuitous that's available to everyone. Krinkels and Madness provide a level of escapism that's hard to find elsewhere. And as always, Newgrounds stands out above the best as a safe haven for these creators, supporting a lifelong creative career in ways that YouTube just never can. The series is alive and strong with no signs of slowing down, even if Krinkels were to hang up the series tomorrow. There's a long-standing legacy here that may never be diminished. So here today on the 11th Madness Day, I want to pay my respects to a series that has inspired so many creators and provided so much entertainment to millions and millions of people. It's a little bit out of the norm for this series to talk about something that started as animations and not a game series, but I really want to push the boundaries about what we talk about here in this Flashlight series. Special thank you to the patrons of the channel. There aren't very many of them right now, but I do very much appreciate their support. You can sign up for as little as $1 and you can help choose future installments of Flashlight, as well as vote in patron-chosen Let's Plays for the channel. I'll have a link to that in the end card here. I'll also link to some Let's Play videos of my time with Project Nexus 2. It's a ton of fun. Check the description for many more. Thank you guys all so much for watching, and I will see you again soon.